Hi, Kyra. Welcome to BizTalk. That's my great pleasure having me today. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. And thank you so much for having me on your wonderful equity match.
Thank you so much. Thanks for coming. So let's start talking about your business.
So, my name is Kyra Pahlen. I'm passionate about education. I'm the founder of LingoZING. The pandemic has called for a significant restructuring of education for the corporate L&D sector and for education in general, with unprecedented spending available. The current learning solutions do not answer the urgent need for digital solutions. Tutorials are boring, 10%, videos, 30% retention, HRVR, great, but very expensive, long to create, difficult to distribute. And that is where our opportunity lies. We create interactive audio-visual narrative content that are engaging, reasonable, fast, multilingual, and on mobiles with up to 80% retention. How do we achieve this? With storytelling. We achieve by offering an emotionally engaging digitized experience that promotes empathic understanding by using storytelling, as a narrative context uses emotional hooks that invite engagement. Thus, we keep the human factor alive, promotes empathy, equality, and inclusion. LingoZing is the only edutaining gamified app that uses audio branded comics, graphic novels to teach across all sectors, be it medical, financial, or other. Our tool for corporate learning and development can help employees combine soft skills with functional skills for long-term job success. The custom-made storytelling that LingoZing delivers will include info plugins and the metrics needed for corporations to track employee progress, such as dwell time, completion, and more, and also the gamification factor. Example, a bank needs to train an employee to understand loans, hires LingoZing to create a graphic novel about it. The employee downloads the app, inserts the corresponding QR code, and as the employee reads the custom created graphic novel, the app registers the metrics which LingoZing then provides to the corporation, who can then gauge employee understanding. The same skill can be used for creating graphic novels for brand communication to augment company's user base with exciting backstory or narrative real one. As many employees also need to learn a second language, we also offer packages of interactive duolingual graphic novels to further train the employee who, by learning a second language, adds to future income and career prospects. The market size, huge. Corporate and L&D, media, and edtech are all experiencing a formidable growth. Witness Duolingo's $6.5 billion valuation, Tapas's sale for $510 million, and the L&D jump to a $169 billion market in the US alone. Imagine what compounding those industries would look like. That is the LingoZing opportunity, as we are right in the intersection of those industries. Our go-to-market is B2B as step one and is divided as follows. Our direct sales. Thus far, we sold our services to the French National Education System, who will be disseminating our content as of January 2022, and just closed an agreement with Elsa Speak, 50 million users. Then on the other side, we have our agent resellers, Concanon Consulting, whose business is to provide corporations with L&D tools. And they have already identified 2 major clients, and we have 10 clients in the pipeline. Our revenue scaling, we can repurpose some of the created content across countries, languages, industries, and even sell some as standalone IP, which we may be able to co-own or own. However, our core curricular graphic novels can be repurposed across industries globally as companies worldwide need to train their employees on workplace diversity, sexual harassment, policies, wellness, and whatnot. As of launch, we expect to start making profit in year 1 and cumulatively anticipate earning 16.9 million in profit by the end of year 3, with a forecasted cash balance of 17.7 year 3. These numbers are from one reseller, Concanon, and we plan to add more. Our growth will demand sturdy technology to maintain corporate client user growth in B2B, and more so as we enter B2C. By adding Asian languages and opening our platform to user-generated content, which entails agenting IP and NFTs, original comic books, we escalate our value dramatically. To ensure our technology, Chris Yerga, the ex-VP of engineering at Google and responsible for Google Play, has joined us. The road ahead, we foresee having 6 active clients by end of 2022, we've already got 2, and expanding our methodology to cover across all corporate sectors. We are an international award-winning team specializing in IP, creativity, publishing, business development, and technology. Chris Yerga was at Apple, Microsoft, and Google. Matthew Smith, ex-CMO for Cisco, all things internet. Pliny Porter was partner with Julia Roberts at Disney, good handle on media, and founder and development on the Montessori Connect app. And lastly, Gianluca Ciccone is a merchant banker who managed offices in Hong Kong, New York, and now in London, and is also an investor in LingoZING. We have raised 2 million in equity used to build technology, buy licenses, file patents, and produce titles. Our minimum ask is 800, of which 300 have been invested. Cash will be used as working capital, maintaining and developing technology, onboarding Marvel, salaries, and other administrative costs. However, as we are ultimately scalable, the more we raise, the faster we grow, and we intend to raise Series A for expansion and added technology after closing additional contracts. The first having closed 3 weeks ago. That gives a
it's a good
good introduction, and I want to also show what our product actually is, because that is key. We are the only ones having done this, so therefore imagination cannot always necessarily cover what we are. So here is our app in action. You download it, it's LingoZING here. You choose the language you are comfortable with. You choose the language you wish to learn. Here you have the education user and will also be the institutional user. The app automatically pairs the 2 languages that you have chosen together. You open the app and you get a free comic book. You open your title, like a normal comic book.
Je sais.
And this is where you tap any bubble and you hear the voices.
Je lis les légendes.
You change the language slider here.
I know, I read the captions.
And that way you hear both languages, which you can do
That's
as many
the
times.
third biggest lasagna I've
you
ever
want.
seen.
And this function, the LC Play, allows you to read, or rather to hear, the entire comic book read to you. Voices are by actors, and you also have the option to listen to them in slow mode if you're actually learning a language and wish to pronounce correctly. Here you see an idea of the variety of comic books that we have, which range from teenage all the way to professions, history, and advanced that cover subjects such as finance, economy, and whatnot. So that gives a better idea of who we are and what we actually do. What you have seen is the current version. We are launching our new LingoZING 2 version end of January, which will include subscription as well as metrics that will be able to communicate to both corporations for learning and development, all the metrics that people that they need for their employees, as well as the same metrics that can be used for gamification, which is obtain a gold medal after you have pronounced X amount of words correctly, get a silver medal when you've recorded yourself correctly, and so forth.
Thank you. I'm a big fan of making the learning process less boring. Okay, let's put it this way. Today is very boring. I do agree, and because it's so boring, not so many they approach it. Okay, because maybe 5-10 minutes you get too bored, and you just walk away. So, and gamifying is an absolutely great idea to having more engagement. So, I mean, we've been talking, we know each other for a while. We met 3-4 years ago, I remember. And I was I was delighted from your idea. And I do believe it can work very well. Now, I do like when a fund understand when it's time to change, okay? When it's time to pivot your idea, because maybe sometimes, and I think you did, because I remember when we met the first place, you were B2C, if I remember well.
Correct.
You moved B2B. Can you talk a bit more about why you decided to go for, I think, more profitable, but also challenging?
We decided to move to B2B for the following reasons. B2C demands a tremendous amount of investment to become seen. Whereas we also, in addition to be able to simply license comic books and show them, we're also able to create comic books. And my motto right from the beginning was, anything can be taught in graphic novels. So first, I wanted to prove that we could actually do that. So I created a graphic novel on cryptocurrency with the intention of using that graphic novel to teach the layperson, the people that do not know anything about cryptocurrency, in a simplified, fun way, all about cryptocurrency. So I proceeded to do that, uploaded it to LingoZING, and a publisher came, Le Lombard, and said, "Wow, this is actually very cool. Can I buy the rights to publish it?" To which I said, "But of course, pay me." Done. And it was published. And interestingly enough, and completely unforeseen by us, it came to the attention of the Minister of Finance and Economy of France. And it won the Prix Lycéen, which is the prize that is voted for by 600 students as the best tool to teach economics, and was presented to us at Bercy, which is where the Minister of Finance and Economy is. So with that, we really proved that we were able to produce. So with that tool, I went to big companies to talk to them about creating for their employees, creating as a brand. Because what happens then? We do not need to invest money in creation. To the contrary, companies pay us to create the material that is necessary for them. Then what happens? All the users, all the employees of the big companies, so you're talking about from 10,000 to millions of employees, right? They download the app to obtain their comic book. So as they download the app and obtain their comic book, our user base multiplies organically without us having to invest huge, colossal B2C sums. And as all the sectors then grow, we already know that our conversion rate on iOS is 4.15, and this without the subscriptions, without the gamifications. In other words, a poor version of who we can be, of thinking of all the B2B customers that will be able to download employees, customers, our B2B versions. There will also be an organic growth into the B2C as let us say an employee of a bank downloads the app and goes, oh, you can also learn a language with other comic books. I should give it to my son, to my uncle who's learning Spanish or whatnot. So it creates an automatic organic growth. And once we have a sturdy footprint of users, then we can start moving into B2C. But the B2C will also be at the same time as we open the platform for user-generated content, which will be fantastic because yet again, the uploading and the creation and the languages, because it'll be a platform that will have voice and art, the artistic content, will again not be as expensive for us. So, and to put it in 2 words, we have created a way of launching a platform that will be international for all comic books, picture books, graphic novels, etc., in a way where huge sums of money are not necessary to be B2C. That it's that logic that took us to B2B, but we could only do it once we proved.
Let me say you're using B as a gateway to C. But I mean, it's pretty logical. It's smart as well. Now, when it comes, I can see 2 main topics here: the language and the industry. Okay. Now, what about the language? You are providing 6, 7 languages, if I'm right. And how difficult is adding a new one? Because I mean, maybe you're already providing French for sure, and the main one. When it goes in terms of scaling, when you go to the less known language, okay, even more complicated. Let me tell you, Russia, it's very much complicated. How difficult will be the integration?
Not difficult at all. We have 5 languages at this moment: English, French, Spanish, Portuguese, Italian. Italian that was paid for by the Education Nationale.
Okay.
And we are planning to add Korean, Mandarin, Japanese, Russian, German, and so forth. It's a matter of creating the interface in the language and then taking existing comic books, adding the language, which just then automatically triangulates with all the other languages that are already in existence. And also we plan to license graphic novels, comic books that would be original to the language. For instance, for Japanese, we would take manga. For Korean, we would take webtoons. So native, localized comic books, and then simply do the necessary LingoZING, which is the translation and the voices, and insert them into the app, which then automatically creates all the functionalities that are inherent in the app. So it is only a matter of funds, not a matter of difficulty.
What about industries? Can you cover all of them?
All of them. There isn't an industry that we can't tell a story about. If it's medical, where nurses need to learn what the variables of temperature are, when to give antibiotics or not. It's merely each industry has moments in time when they need a set of key information to be communicated to their employees. So let us say a corporation has 10 info points that they need, the new things they need to communicate. We create a story that doesn't necessarily have to be directly in that industry, but where homogeneously those points are integrated so that the reader reads them within a story and automatically retains it because it has that empathic attention. If the hero of the story is madly in love with the girl that is in the bed in the hospital, and the nurse gives the wrong antibiotic. When you read it, you think, oh my God, she's going to die. And thank God there's another doctor that comes in and goes, stop, stop, stop. And as a result, that doctor becomes the big friend of the, I mean, I'm just inventing off the cuff.
Perfectly understandable.
But it's the way you transmit the information. So yes, as a result, we can address any sector.
I mean, we have been talking, and you precisely about the French government because you are working with them. Now, my question is, I really can see your LingoZING, your way to communicate, your way to to allow people to learn without to be too much stressed. Very, very helpful for even the young generations. I'm sorry to say, they're very lazy. There is no way that we spend so many hours reading the books as I did, and probably you did. I spent all my life reading night and day. I don't know if it was useful or not, I'm not sure. But I do believe it's not about how long, it's about what exactly you can learn, right? And what about your working with governments? And because I do believe B2G would be great as well for you. You are doing already anyway.
We are doing that. The reason why France came to the scene as earliest is because France is the one country that sees graphic novels as the ninth art. So whereas the pillars of comic books are the US, Japan, now Korea, China, and the US, it is still seen as pop art to a certain degree, whereas France takes it very seriously. So I knew that the stepping stone to, as an acknowledgement, would be France to begin with. So very rapidly, we obtained this agreement with the French government, the Éducation nationale, which is a monopoly in France. And as we will be delivering the QR codes at the end of January, at the same time as we launch our new version to the Éducation nationale to filter to all their professors, we will also be able to do the same thing for all other governments, be it German, and we are also being used by the Utah immersion system in the US, but it's a slow wheel to turn. The B2B is a faster wheel that turns, but one absolutely is parallel to the other, and all wheels must turn. And to your point, it is for both B2B and B2G as important to face the problem of the attention deficit span that you were talking about, because it is not so much that people have a deficit span, is that they're not interested in what is being told unless it is given in a big format. You talk to somebody about a format of an instruction manual in German on how to work a machine, you can be that person will faint under a minute. You insert that machine in a critical moment where the bomb is going to explode, and if the person doesn't figure out how it happens, the whole family is going to go up, and so will the country, and the president is there on the phone going, "Oh my God, do something." Then it becomes a lot more interesting. So it's all the whole. I think addressing the universal attention deficit will be at least made lighter by the retention span that empathic storytelling provides.
Yeah, I do agree. What about the business model? How do you get paid, and how do you get on board your clients?
The creation process is not where we really make a profit. We make a very small profit on the creation process. But when a company, let us say 1 million users, 1 million employees, each time an employee downloads the comic book, we get a fee to be determined, be it $1, be it $2, be it whatever, depending on the negotiation. And that is where we gain users. We have a small profit. Well, a small profit depends on the quantity, of course. And at the same time, it opens the door for conversion of more users, of the language learners. And as in the professional line of comic books, we will be offering more and more comic books, graphic novels. Said user can also then expand their knowledge base in other with other graphic novels. And the other system, which is as interesting, is the branding. So many companies have logos, have put posters around that tell a little bit about who they are, but nobody really knows about their backstory. They don't have an identity. They don't have a personality that is clear-cut. So these companies can also hire us, and in fact, there are 3 that are very interested in that proposal, where we would either create a backstory or use their backstory to create a graphic novel, which they can then distribute to all their clients as opposed to their employees. And with that image, also expand their client base. And there, again, we would obtain more a fee for every download. And of course, there are far more users than there are employees. A company may have 10,000 employees, a bank, for instance, but has 20 million users, clients. So there, the offer becomes even more interesting. And sometimes they can do both. So
Of course,
it's really servicing 2 fundamental needs that corporations need. Marketing departments are at loss at what to do. It's always the same thing: videos, posters, and various PR promotions. And the HR have the problem of how to communicate with their employees, all the necessary factors that they need to do in a way that promotes retention.
but we have a saying, it's all about storytelling. It's not a saying.
It really is.
That's the reality. And the point is, many, they can't really fully understand how strong can be branding your company with storytelling. It's so engaging. There is no way logo, there is nothing videos. It's absolutely the most engaging, to me, way to create your branding.
Well, the research supports it. Written, 10% retention; video, 30% retention; narrative content, 79 to 80% retention.
Absolutely, I agree. What's the stage of the fundraising now?
We are raising an interim because we are pretty confident that once we have 2, 3 major clients on board, and we already have 1, then we are able to up our valuation in a significant way. And many VCs have already expressed interest to resume the conversation once we have clients. We signed 1. We also have the Education Nationale. So revenue stream should start pretty soon. We're looking for, as I said, 800K. We already have 300K, which will bring us to where we need. The comfort zone would be provided by an additional 500. Also, the ability to expand a bit more on technology and employees and on board a couple of very significant labels.
What's the vision for LingoZING? Where do you see your company in 5 years' time, and how do you think you're going to scale?
Well, the scaling is using many of the comic books, repurposing them across all sectors, across languages, adding government, educational programs, and every time you open a language, you have more industries that are in need of servicing. So the scaling is quite substantial in the B2B. And then with the B2C, it opens up a whole new world.
It does. Takes more time, probably. As you say, you're right. When it comes to B2C, you need a lot of funding. There is nothing to do.
Well, with the visibility provided by the B2B and the continuity of the growth of comic books, graphic novels available, when we open our technology, we do have 3 patents. We are the only ones doing this. We open our platform to user-generated context, which means the boy in Korea can upload their webtoons and have their friends do the voices. And the girl in Australia can go, oh, this is super cool. I'll translate it into English and have my friends do the voices. Then we obtain a lot of user-generated material that we can then, if it's good, also move to LingoZING in the educational sector, or just be entertainment.
May I ask, the same content, okay, you create for the company A or employees, where they are, can be used for another company or belongs to them?
That is to be negotiated. I noticed that some companies have no problem with us selling the comics created by them as standalone comics and sharing revenue. Mm-hmm. And I have not yet heard of one, no one has yet said we want to limit distribution only internally. So that is to be seen.
Okay. For you would be extremely profitable, MTV say, if you can reuse contents and books, and even from one language to another. So
from one language to another, that is part of their interest. I mean, they all want, many corporations have multinational employees, and some have employees that don't speak English or are unaware of the cultural integration. So LingoZING kills that bird, that one bird with 2-3 stones. Or is it 2 birds with 1 stone? No, it's a few birds with 1 stone, sorry. Yeah, throwing birds at a poor stone, I don't know about that. Anyway, we always deliver in a minimum of 2 languages, and then it's up to the corporation to decide whether they want 2, 3, 4, 5 languages. It's not, for us, it's the same thing.
I like to close in this way. What's your message? Why investors should invest in Kyra and LingoZING?
It's unique. It's a vision. It educates. It's entertaining. And it can also be amazingly profitable. And it combines so many factors that are needed, and wanted, and used.
Kyra, thank you so much for coming to BizTalk. It's been a very great pleasure having you with me today. Thank you so much.
You're wonderful, Max. Thank you. And have a great day.